world, it's me again. I'm making a video. I was actually looking online to see if there was a basic training tag, like a question sort of tag, that everybody does in the YouTube world. And I personally couldn't find any that didn't have anything to do with somebody who had been in the Army for quite a while. There wasn't really any for us newbies. I could be wrong. I didn't look that hard. So for all I know, there's like 50,000, but none of them came up right away. So I decided to make my own, and you can feel free to also partake in it, and just make sure you let me know if you're going to do it, because then I can watch it, and I can see your experiences and see what everything was like for you. So, further ado, I have 14 questions. I could think of a 15th one. So there's going to be 14 unless I suddenly decide to think of one between now and the end of this video. So, first question, where did you go to basic training at? So I went to Fort Jackson in South Carolina. It was about almost 3 hours to get there. I took a plane. I left from Pittsburgh Maps to South Carolina. I'm pretty sure it was South Carolina. And then from an airport there to Fort Jackson, where we got picked up at. It was about 2.5 hours all in all. It wasn't that long at all. It was my first time riding a plane, which was so fun. And I actually left with some of the people at my MEPS building from the beginning to Fort Jackson. The females and males got separated, of course. So I didn't see them after that. I haven't seen them since. I know they're around here somewhere, but I haven't seen them since. What were your drill sergeants like? So, my platoon at the company I was at had 5 or 6 drill sergeants, because one of the companies, which was Echo, which got turned into a COVID unit, was shut down. So the Echo drill sergeants I was in Delta, came to the Delta platoon. Our senior drill sergeant wasn't around very much. He was focusing on classes and things like that, which sucked because he was all of our favorite. He was the most wonderful person on the face of the earth. He was out most of the time. We had one other one. He wasn't a senior drill sergeant, but I'm pretty sure he was close to it. He was around a lot more. He specialized in nutrition. He was super great. He made things fun, but damn, he could fuck you up if you really wanted to. And it happened a couple times. But he was great. He was great to go to if you had injuries or something. He always had something to try before you went to sick call, which was super important. We had another one who I did not like him. I did not like him at all. I believe he was Echo, and he came to Delta to fill in for our senior drill sergeant. And it sucked. It made it miserable. My stomach churned every time I saw him. We got the most unrealistic time hacks. No. I don't even want to talk about them. But for the most part, all of our drill sergeants were pretty cool. There was only that one. There's 2 female drill sergeants. Didn't see much of them. So we had 3 who were basically our main ones. But yeah, no, the majority of them were pretty cool. Did you ever get smoked? So, okay, this is one of those things that everybody seems to agree or disagree with on what smoking is. Now, smoking happened way back in the day. Things have changed with how they do training now. The basic training has gotten a lot softer than what it used to be. They're not in your face all the time. They're not screaming at you all the time. It's different. For Fort Jackson, the company I was at, that's how that went. I can't say that for everywhere, but that's how that was. Our first sergeant was not that way. He was the opposite. But for the most part, smoking and what they call now corrective training, which is what all of us newbies call smoking because that's what we're used to hearing, are 2 different things. Now, I got my shoulder messed up from one of our corrective training sessions that lasted 3 or 4 hours in a front-leaning rest position that I consider as smoking. So yes, I would say yes. But according to the drill sergeants, no, they have never smoked us. It was corrective training. what is your MOS? My MOS is a 25 uniform, which is a signal system support specialist. It's techie. It's not cyber, but it's techie. We are basically the main unit of knowing everything technical with radios and communications. So far, I'm loving it. Were you integrated with the males? The reason I picked this question is because, from my understanding, at least at my company, we were either like the first or second cycle, I think, who got integrated with males. I could be totally wrong. From how our drill sergeant made it sound, which I was talking to actually one of my buddies from there yesterday, we can't figure out whether or not if he was trying to say we were the first cycle he had with females that he was training or female drill sergeants that he was working with. It was the way he worded it that made us question a little bit. But I'm genuinely curious how far ago that goes that you work with males at basic training. We got integrated right after yellow phase, when we officially got assigned into our permanent platoons. We got integrated with them. We were with them before in yellow phase, but they didn't consider it integrated because it wasn't our official platoons. But yes, we were integrated. Best moment of basic training. There's lots of moments of basic training. My best moment would probably be whenever we were at the confidence course and there is a obstacle that you have to climb up. It's like a little ramp you go up, and then there's two big cement tunnels and you go through them, you crawl through them, and there's boards on the inside. If you're a firefighter, you've gone through something similar. There's boards that you go around on the inside and it's pitch black and you have to make it through to the other side, and once you get to the other side there's a little like bank and then it completely drops off, and then there's a big fireman's pool. It's like 3 feet away and it's like that big around, and you have to jump and bear hug it and go down, and it's probably a good 10 feet off the ground, and I had a hard time with it. That was the biggest thing. I had a hard time with it because I couldn't figure out how I could jump to that and bear hug it and slide down gracefully without falling. And whenever it was the last one we did, so like it was our muscles were pretty tired by the end of the day. And our one drill sergeant, the nutritionist, he was sitting at the bottom of it. And he's like, oh, I got you. He's like, don't worry. He's like, just jump, bear hug it. Let's go. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm having a hard time actually getting myself to do it. And he's like, I know. He's like, I know, I hear you. It's okay. He's like, I'm right here. I'm not going to let you fall. Now, granted, not all drill sergeants are like this, just so we're clear. But the dude, he was very patient with me. And our senior drill sergeant was sitting on top of the cement tunnels facing the ramp, like he was having the people who had just finished doing the big wooden ladder come up and go through. And he turned around and he goes, you're going to jump and get on that pole, or I'm going to come over there and I'm going to kick you off myself. And I said, yes, drill sergeant. And I looked down at the drill sergeant at the pool. He's like, come on, let's go. He's like, you can do it. I got you. I'm not going to let you fall. You're more than capable of doing this. And I'm like, I hear you, drill sergeant. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I just can't mentally process it. And he's like, I know, I understand. And I heard my senior drill sergeant jump up because he hit the cement, and he says, come on, trainee. He's like, I'm coming. You better make your way off, and you better jump. He's like, I'm coming. And I turned around, and I looked at him, and he's this big-ass dude coming across the tunnel. And I got up, and I looked at the drill sergeant down on the ground, and I looked at him, and I said, oh, fuck. And I jumped, and I went down, and I made it. I don't know why that was one of my best moments, but that was one of my favorite moments. I was proud of myself, and the whole thing was just funny to me. And I had to do it again right after because I hesitated. My senior drill sergeant said, how to do it again, so you do it again. Worst moment. My worst moment was the time that we had to do uniform drills for a half an hour because one of our lovely platoon battle buddies decided to push our drill sergeants too far and making fun of him and him being too easy on us, that we got to do uniform drills for a half an hour until some people were puking and we almost heat-cat. So, yeah, that was my least favorite. I hated the uniform drills. If you don't know what a uniform drill is, it's where they give you, this is how it went for us, because I've been hearing different stories. They give you 2 minutes to go upstairs, change into OCPs, and be back downstairs in formation. Uniform checked, everything. And they'd send us back upstairs. You got a minute, 30 seconds, change into summer PTs, be back down, same thing, and our time frame went down to 30 seconds in like 3 uniform changes. And it just kept going and going and going for a half an hour. And it sucked. It was miserable. But it's part of the game. Were you a profile? I was not a profile. I got too scared to go to sick call because I didn't want to miss any of my graduation events and get recycled. Because that is a thing. I don't know if they will completely recycle you, probably depending on what injury you get. I know they will restart you back a phase to whatever phase it is and probably send you to another unit who is currently doing that event, and you would go through with that unit. I was not. I thought about it, and I waited till I got here to AIT to go. And I am greatly paying for it, but at least I'm still not at basic training. Favorite cadence. My favorite cadence was lay your weapon next to mine. That one is my absolute favorite. It gets me right in the feels every single time. Our senior drill sergeant made a cadence called the Bearded Ninja, which is after Chuck Norris. That one is also good. And there's another one, I don't know my left from right, but I cannot find it anywhere. So I don't know if our one drill sergeant made it up or if it's an actual cadence, but I absolutely loved it and I can't find it anywhere. So if you know what I'm talking about or if you know the cadence, please tell me because I would like to listen to it just one more time. But if not, the drill sergeant had a beautiful voice and I will always remember it. How often did you run? We were supposed to run 3 times a week, and that didn't happen. It turned into running to see where we would be at for the ACFT to figure out what groups we needed to be in for whenever we actually ran. I ended up in Group B at first. Then we ended up doing 30/60s like twice a week. And then we did an ACFT. And then we ran like once a week for like 3 weeks. And then we did 30/60s again right before the ACFT. And then once we got to the Forge, we did a battalion run after, split into groups, and then went into like the shortest to tallest formation. I know the last one I ran in Group C, the slowest one because I was so sore. And we ended up doing hill sprints. So that was fun. It was worth it. Everybody did hill sprints. Our drill sergeant said that we were the only ones doing them, but it turned out every group was doing hill sprints. It's just that they sprinted back to the company building rather than jogged. How often? No, I just asked that. Platoon name. So every platoon has a nickname. Ours was the Jackals. We were the Delta Jackals. We actually painted a ceiling tile in commemorance to it. They were starting to have every cycle that comes in gets to decorate a ceiling tile. And we were the second one. What were you most known for? So at the end, I don't know if anybody else did this, and I'm curious to see why, or if they did, not why, if they did, which is why this is a question. So our last 2 days a couple girls in our bay made up questions, and it was like, who is more known to do this? Like, who sleeps in the most? Who gets the most mail? Who is always smiling? Who is the best at PT? Who is working out the most? We did one of those, and we did it between all three bays. And at the very end, they made like papers that were little awards and handed them out to whoever got the top one. So I was most known for getting the most mail because I got mail almost every day, and it would be like 6 or 7 letters from family and friends, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That was one of my favorite parts about basic training was getting the letters. Would you do it again? I've heard people talk about this in basic training. I personally would not do it again because by the one drill sergeant made it miserable. So no, I would not do it again. Could I do it again? Yes, absolutely, I could. I believe I could definitely do it again. But I would not. I have no desire to. What is your advice? So my advice to whoever is going is to always make sure you're trying. Because if you're trying, you can't say anything. Don't be the person who's walking to formation and being the last one there and half-assing everything and giving attitude, stuff like that. Don't be that person. Just try. When you're dead tired and you feel like you can't do another push-up, try to do another push-up because it impresses the drill sergeants. When I hurt my shoulder, I could not lift my arm past my waist. It wasn't a thing. And I didn't go to sick call, obviously. My whole arm was numb and I couldn't move my fingers. And we had to do push-ups for the prep. I believe it was the prep drill. And my exercises for the prep drill. And we were doing push-ups and I collapsed every single push-up. But I still did it, and I overheard the drill sergeant telling another drill sergeant that he wasn't going to give me any issues about it because I was trying. And he also knew I hurt my shoulder because I asked two different NCOs and an officer to send me a sick call in yellow face, and they didn't, which worked out good. But at the time it was scary, but it worked out. And it was a good thing I didn't go. But that would be my advice. Always make sure you're trying. If you're running and you feel like you can't run no more, just don't walk. Jog as slow as you want, but don't walk. That's it. Yeah, I'd just say always make sure you're trying. It's not hard mentally. Like hearing what the drill sergeants say, like they tear you down, they're supposed to tear you down. It's just their job. That's what they're supposed to do. Some of them actually do care, though. If you're lucky, you get some of the ones that actually care. Thankfully, our company and my platoon, I had one that really cared, and I know that now. And especially towards the end, it really showed. Not in a bad way, not in a non-professional way, but you could just tell some of them actually do care about you. So, yes. It's not a bad thing to have to talk to somebody if you need to talk to somebody. I had my fair share of bawling my eyes out and getting frustrated and things like that. But just know that it is literally a game, and you just have to beat the game. You can't beat the time hacks. It's not realistic. They know it's not realistic. They like to say it is, but it's not. You can't get completely changed from PTs that are stuck to your skin with sweat dripping down yourself in 30 seconds on the 4th floor to change into OCPs and everything be neat, perfect, and pristine, and your hair be perfect in like the whole 10 yards in 30 seconds. It's not realistic. If it is, by all means do it. Just make a video and show me. But it's not. It wasn't. It was not realistic in this situation. And lastly, I'll turn this into a question because if you've been through basic training, you would know, and it will be my sign off for you. First and foremost, if you decide to make this video, please do it. Send it to me, tag me, whatever you do in the YouTube world. I would love to see it. Leave any advice that you have for new trainees who may be going into the Army or the military in general. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. I hope you enjoy doing this. And why is the sky blue?